Nearly 3 weeks after taking off, South African Airways has hit turbulence. Workers affiliated to NUMSA and SACCA staged a protest outside the airline's Airways Park in Kempton Park over conditions of employment. Among the many demands workers are calling for is the reinstatement of medical aid, housing, as well as a meal allowance. The union says the issues of the old SAA have resurfaced. To talk about this, we're joined by Phakamile Hlubi-Majola, who's on the line with us, including who's NUMSA's National Spokesperson. We'll also speak to Zazi Nsibanyoni-Mugambi, SACCA's President. A very good evening to you both, and thank you so much for speaking to us. Let me just start with you, Phakamile. When you say there's false advertising about the notion of there being Team SA, can you please expand a little bit more? Just how bad is the extent of no change in the so-called new SAA?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the viewers, and apologies, I'm on the phone because of load shedding. It's very sad what the workers of SAA are going through. This afternoon, I actually spent sitting with workers, some of them in tears, about how much they sacrificed 20 years, 23 years in some cases with the company. For the company to treat them like this, I mean, we're talking about workers who don't even have a lunch break. This is how far SAA has gone in stripping away the conditions of employment. So if you are a cabin crew member who is flying from Johannesburg to Cape Town, your flight starts at 6 a.m., you leave your house at 4 a.m., obviously you haven't eaten. There's no meal allowance, so you do the full journey with no money to buy food. You're unable to eat on the plane. I'm trying to give you just a basic example of how far this company has gone in taking away conditions. Workers have no medical aid. You have workers whose salaries have been reduced by 35%. But then when you look on the other side, where at management, you have a team of 250 executives managing 750 people at a cost of 300 million rand. And then they want to tell us that there's no money for benefits for workers.
Okay. Phakamile, I'm hoping that we can reconnect with you and get a better line. Zazi, let me just come to you. Just the picture that Phakamile has painted, I believe SACCA also saying that it's a different ball game for management, that junior employees face different circumstances. They've lost their benefits, allowances, and even lost their homes, as has been mentioned. What exactly has happened with management? Have they been able to keep their perks? How is this justified?
Well, yes. I mean, during the Section 189 process, management decided to give themselves the best jobs available and increase their salaries. And they have told us at the time that they are benchmarking themselves against the industry. And ordinary employees were then benchmarked against our sister airline, which is a low-cost airline, Mango. And this is how they justified. So they gave themselves, in essence, increases and basically cut the employees, our member salaries, by 35%. They not only did that, they then reduced the employment conditions of our members drastically, cutting medical aid, housing, all those things that actually matter to cabin crew. And with them, their conditions have pretty much stayed the same, because our conditions in the air, as you'd imagine, as cabin crew, are very different to the ones of basic management. So our members are extremely upset, and they don't understand why they are being treated like this, while the executive, and mind you, the executive that took us to the place that we are in now, nothing has changed. This Team SAA, this new SAA, is a fallacy. It's the same people with the same tactics that refuse to engage with labor. We have a CEO, Thomas Kakulo, that refuses, blatantly has said he's not going to engage with labor. So the relationship between the management, who have set themselves up quite nicely, and the lowest of the lowest earners, becoming poorer and poorer, is why we came out today. Our members put signatures to a petition. It wasn't just a memorandum to say our voices are behind this and we have simply had enough. And the fallacy of this team SAA, this new SAA, is not real.
Let me hear from you, Phakamile. What hope is there then for you? Because I know you've made demands, but for instance, you've said that structures were not finalized during Section 189A process. Instead, they are being used to impose these conditions, vague conditions on employees. Is there any hope, including on what you've mentioned, flawed recruitment and selection processes, that management are evaluating themselves, appointing themselves, even appointing their own people? These are the allegations you're making.
As NUMSA and SACCA, we've been very consistent from the beginning of this process and even the business rescue process that fundamental changes needed to happen at SAA if we are not going to repeat the same mistakes of the past. And the very fact that you still have the same executive management making decisions, in our view, it's like they're looting the airline through their benefits and conditions at the expense of ordinary workers. It is nonsensical that you can expect workers to make sacrifices if the management doesn't make sacrifices. This is a state-owned entity, and whatever is good for workers should be good for management. And in fact, when cuts were discussed, they should have started with the highest earners and taken it from there. In terms of hope, if there's to be any hope, it will depend on the behavior of this executive team that claim that this is a new airline. If indeed this is a new airline, then they need to engage us. They need to have a genuine dialogue with us. The CEO, Thomas Hokolu, has been disingenuous in his engagement with us. We noted he issued a statement where he claimed that he met with trade unions. He did not meet with NUMSA and SACCA. He only finally agreed to engage us last night because at that point we were clear that we were going on a picket. So what needs to change is an attitude where workers are treated like stakeholders and not as beggars who are begging for a job.
Phakamile, let me just ask Zazi this question in this final minute that we have. A failure to adhere to these demands, what will happen? As Phakamile said, you've been here before. What is the next step?
Oh, no, I think we have various processes at the CCMA, and we're going to follow that route. So we're going to use the legal platforms to get justice for our members. But further to that, we will be marching. We will picket. We will make our voices heard until something is done. And I just want to remind you, we have 300 people on the training layoff scheme. These people are in no man's land. They've been disregarded. These are people that the DPE had also helped to put in the business rescue plan. Now, these people are being shunned, people that took VSP. And yes, we want them absorbed back eventually, but they cannot come before the training layoff scheme individuals that need to be absorbed and reskilled and developed to take positions that are available in this company.
Thank you.
And you would remember. Sorry, can I just add? You'd remember that we asked SAA management, do not give people VSP if they are skills that you want to retain. And what they've done is that they're rehiring people that they've given VSP to a few minutes ago. So that's unacceptable to us. So we will march, we will picket, we will go to the CCMA.
But thank you to you both for taking the time to speak to us. Phakamile Hlubi-Majola, NUMSA National Spokesperson, and Zazi Nsibanyoni-Mugambi, SACCA President. It's time now for your sports news. Simon, it's over.